Howdy do, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 335.
Yeah.
One day, I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.
Our lives are different to anybody else's. That's the exciting thing. Nobody in the universe can do what we're doing.
I've reversed the polarity of the neutron flow, so the TARDIS should be free of the force field now.
You may be a doctor, but I'm the doctor. The definite article, you might say.
The trouble with time travel is, one never seems to find the time.
Change, my dear, and it seems not a moment too soon.
Unlimited rice pudding, etc., etc.
I am the doctor!
For now, for this moment, I am the doctor again.
The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. And the entire planet is hurtling around the sun at 67,000 miles an hour. And I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect. But actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
I could be a curator. I'd be great at curating. I'd be the great curator. I could retire and do that.
I'm the doctor. I've lived for over 2,000 years, and not all of them were good. I've made many mistakes, and it's about time that I did something about that.
Bit of adrenaline, dash of outrage, and a hint of panic knitted my brain back together. I know exactly who I am. I'm the Doctor. Sorting out fair play throughout the universe.
Hey, Who fans, welcome back to another week of the Big Blue Box podcast. This is episode 335. I hope you're keeping well and safe. You've had a cracking week and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
Oh.
Indeedy. Well, that's it, dude.
Yep, goodbye. That's it. Shut the door. Let's go.
Flux is done.
Turn off the TV. Let's go. Let's get outside.
It was like one of those things where the credits rolled and then the TV just did that weird thing where it flicks over and there's just snow on the screen and that was it. It was very timely.
No, not even an advert for Class this week. I mean, you know,
missed opportunity.
Waiting
again.
For that. I thought I'll wait right to the end. No.
Oh dear. We have our review of the final chapter of Flux, of course, coming up later in this episode. Not much news again. We're just going to update you guys on the ratings and stuff. I think we're going to stop doing that, dude, after this one because it's kind of pointless in a way when you think about it. Just because of, I think the only thing that might be worth talking about in the future is if they carry on with this, which I'm sure they will, the appreciation index score and stuff like that, because that's more of an insight into what people feel about the show. But because television viewing habits have changed and continue to change so much over the years and stuff, the overnights, they don't. I saw a few people tweet this actually. I think our friend Martin, Bad Wilf Martin, he was the first tweet I saw, and as soon as I read it, I was like, yes, dude, that's completely accurate. They just don't mean anything, the overnights anymore. So many people, like back in the day before catch-up TV and before iPlayer and all that stuff, that was the metric that you went on. Like if your overnights were solid, then you were in for a good run pretty much. But so many people are watching via streaming, via online. They're recording it on Sky or Virgin, whatever you've got, or watching it through catch-up. It's just very diverse, you know. Although it is still kind of event TV, Doctor Who, the entire, you know, the millions of people don't all get ready at one time in their living rooms to watch it at one point. So I think we'll stop doing the old overnights and all that rating stuff. We'll talk about the AI index, but
I guess so. Yeah, it is kind of pointless unless they sort of drop to a massive all-time low. If we like sink around 2 million, we might want to mention it. But yeah, otherwise, like you said, it's kind of consistently around the same sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So 3 point whatever. Yeah.
3 point whatever. Yeah, is the average.
I think that's the official.
There you go. Yeah, it's around there. Three something. Just it'll be fine. 3 something. It's fine. So, in terms of what we've been up to, I've had another. I'm going to get mine out of the way. All I've done is I've read a couple more chapters of the Long Game book that I got delivered a couple of weeks ago.
Well, yeah, you enjoying that?
I am, dude. It's great. Yeah, I'm not reading it as quickly as I'd like, but that's because in typical idiot fashion of mine, I've got another book on the go at the same time. So
Mills and Boone?
Mills and Boone. No, it's not Mills and Boone. It's
Jackie Collins.
It's the novelisation actually of Episode 1 Star Wars. But
oh right, okay.
So I'm reading through that at the same time. So I'm a couple of chapters in. So it's very good. So as I said before, I very highly recommend anybody picks that book up. It's very good. Already there's a few things, I won't spoil it at the moment, but already there's a few things that were like, wow, didn't realise that was going on behind the scenes. So it's very cool. So that's all I've done, dude. But I know you've been out and about doing some travelage again, Doctor Who wise.
Yeah, so I'm just adding that book to my Christmas list for Santa because I know he's going to read it. Yes, I've been out and about to another cracking BFI event. This time they were showing The City of Death, which is a great story. I think I was saying this before we went in. Perfect for like the BFI because in terms of watching it with fellow Who fans, because we're all waiting. It's got so many moments in it, so many funny bits that when you're with a group of people, you're all laughing at the same time and you're all waiting for them to come up. So we were all waiting for the John Cleese moment, of course, and all that sort of thing, and Violent Butlers and all those lines, all those classic lines. So it was another fantastic screening, a really good one to sort of finish up the year. And obviously it's there to promote the season 17 box set, which is coming out. I think it's been delayed by a week, isn't it? I think it's out on the 20th now.
Something like that.
Yeah. Oh, it's very close to Christmas. Very close. So that's coming out. It was a great event, and it wasn't just me from the Blue Box there. We also had Maria and Jordan, 2 of our writing team, were at this event. I think it was Jordan's first BFI as well. So it's great to see those guys. And I didn't get to chat to them as much as I'd like to because I did the quiz of Rassilon straight after the screening.
Cool.
And they always leave a little bit earlier than me, whereas I'm there till the very bitter end, just propping up the bar,
dragging Adam out at the end.
Yeah, just literally. Maria had the most awesome coat on. It was sort of like Romana's long jacket in Destiny of the Daleks, like the flowing. It looks like the Doctor's outfit, but it's sort of like the female version of it. Maria had that on, and she was rocking that look. So it was a great screening. City of Death was great. We got to see some extras from the new set, of course, which they always show. Weirdly, they showed us a few from Destiny of the Daleks, actually. Some of the extras they showed us were more related to that, which I thought was odd, but they were great. So we got some real treats coming up. But the highlight really was we got a special introduction from Tom Baker that was filmed especially for that event.
Oh, nice.
And it was very short, but it was just so it started with the Jagaroff spaceship sort of taking off, and then Tom sort of materialized into the picture. And I think anyone who's seen Tom recently will agree that he's got quite frail and thin. And the whole sort of 2-minute video was just him sort of taking the mickey out of his look in a way. He's like, oh, I know what you're thinking, but it happens to us all, and I'm looking at you and I can see it's already happened to some of you. So it was a really lovely video, and he was like, and enjoy the show or whatever. And although Tom is starting to look frail, I mean, he's 80 odd. I have to say in the extras we saw of him being interviewed for the new set, he may look a bit thin in the face and frail, but my God, that man is full of energy. So we were all saying this in the bar. I don't think we should write Tom off anytime soon, because that man is just full of fire, and the enthusiasm that's pouring out of him in the interview clips that I saw was just amazing. So I can't wait for that set. And as I said, it was a brilliant way to end off the year. Julian Glover was there as well in person. And they got him up on stage to do a bit of an interview. That was very interesting. He was really entertaining and funny. Obviously, he played Scaroff. And he was talking about, because he was in another Doctor Who, wasn't he, with William Hartnell? Was it The Crusade? Or I can't remember. But he's in one of the early Doctor Who's with William Hartnell. And he was saying that they didn't get on at all. And I love it when you get an actor like Julian Glover. They're kind of the old school. Mm-hmm. So they don't try and dress it up and give you the everything is awesome, stuff that, some people do. They just get up and tell it how it is, don't they? And I love that. He was very frank, very funny. And he just said, yeah, me and William Hartnell didn't get on at all. He said, William he didn't like us. He's in the corner of the room muttering, oh, they're awful and all this. He said, he made no bones about it that he didn't particularly like him or some of the other cast. So that was quite interesting. And then, of course, he went on to talk about being in City of Death, and he clearly loves it. He says he thinks it's a brilliant production, and he loved working with Tom and Lala, and he was talking about the fact they just got engaged, so they were quite loved up at the time. Mm-hmm. He said, but then, of course, the next day they might have had an argument, so it could be a little bit frosty. But he was a great guest to have, and he did a signing afterwards and stuff. So, yeah, it's really nice to have him in attendance and get a few little behind-the-scenes nuggets from him. So, yeah, it was a really good day, mate. Yeah, really good. I mean, we'll get more box sets next year, and I say this every time, those BFI events are just the best. I mean, you get to meet all the Who fans that we chat to and stuff, and then watch Doctor on the big screen. I just think they're the best events. I love them. So, yeah, hopefully I'll get to chat more to Maria and Jordan if they go again, because I was desperate to just go to the bar with them and get drunk and just chat Doctor Who, but because we got tickets to the quiz, I was like, oh, I'll try and get, I don't know how long the quiz is going to be. I'll try and meet you guys after. But of course, the quiz went on for about an hour or so. But yeah, we lost, by the way. We didn't come. I don't know.
For God's
we were
sake.
a disaster. We were a disaster in the quiz. Shameful it was. We didn't, I don't know where we came. There was quite a lot of teams, but I don't even remember our name being read out.
Oh, that's.
And there was beer. So you had the picture round or whatever it was. They give you an extra sheet with all these pictures on. Somebody knocked a pint over, and it was, beer soaked. Pages being handed in, and what's your score? I think we were like 40, so I was a 446. It was it was disastrous, but it was a fun day though, a really fun day.
Let's
try and get a blue box team together next time. I think we need a blue box team.
Defo, yeah. Indeedy. Okay, that sounds really cool, dude. I'm glad that Tom still appears as if he's rocking and rolling, even if because he does look a little bit, he's right. Age will do that to all of us at some point, but at least he's still rocking and rolling and doing the big finish and all that. So,
oh gosh, yes, he loves big finish, doesn't he? Now he does. Yeah,
now he does. Yeah,
yeah.
Good stuff, dude. Nice one. And you're right. Yeah, the box set's delayed until the 20th of December, so that is cutting it fine. The old Crimbo Prezi.
Just enough time for Santa to get it and drop it down the chimney.
Yeah, he got his elves wrapping it up and. Yeah, denting all the corners as it lands on the floor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dear. I was going to say, I'm going to be away from the 19th.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to have to wait till I come back. And, oh, God, imagine. I was just going to say as well, actually, I forgot to say, of course, Maria will do a write-up of the event. So I'm looking forward to Maria always does great write-ups of these BFI events. So she'll go into a bit more detail about it. I'm assuming she is. I haven't asked her. But she normally does a fantastic write-up of these events. So I'm assuming she'll do one for our the Blue Box website. So keep an eye out for that.
Yes, yeah. Maria's like the Sarah Jane of the Big Blue Box. She's our journalist, roving reporter. She always does that.
Yes, our roving reporter, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Okay, cool. So
I've just realised what a great team actually her and Jordan make. They are. You've got Maria in a Doctor Who coat and Jordan as well as the companion, just our roving reporters there, yeah, and me just at the bar, letting the whole side down. But don't worry, you've got Maria and Jordan there. It's all cool.
Yeah, at least somebody from the team's bringing a bit of, bit of dignity
back.
And
yeah.
Anyway, before we crack on with the rest of the show. Probably, it's not full-on newsworthy, but just some figures, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The last time we're going to do figures, I think. So the week before last, the survivors of the Flux Chapter 5, the consolidated figure for that one. So the 7 days after it went out, the total was 4.72 million for that. So just shy of 5 million, not too bad for the 7 days, and it was the 9th most watched program on TV for the week, and the 25th most watched programme for just all of British television for the week, so not too bad. And then last week, the overnight for the Vanquishers, that was 3.58 million viewers, according to those. And that's a slight drop from the previous week, which was 3.82. And it was for the day, it was the fifth most watched programme on the day. So figures haven't shifted too much, really. I mean, they've been in a very gradual decline, according to the unofficial overnight figures that we've gone through each week. But in the main, you weren't far off, dude. It was 3 something. It's always gone around 3.4, 3.5, 3.7, that kind of range. So it's
stuck fairly steady, isn't it? I think I'm right in saying, was it series 11 or 12? I think it was 11. I don't know. Where literally week after week, it just kept going down and down and down quite dramatically. So I think I remember by the time we got to Rance, Korath, Kokos, or whatever, it was really low, and it was like the lowest final, and the figures just literally consistently dropped. Whereas at least with this series, there's been little blips, little drops here and there, but it hasn't been the dramatic fall that we've had, in previous series. I don't think, anyway. I'd have to have a look.
Right.
But it's not too bad. Just moving away from the figures, and just before we crack on with the review, we got a little teaser for the new festive special, Eve of the Daleks. I've only seen this a couple of times, so we got a very brief one at the end of the Vanquishers, really brief, literally seconds. But I have noticed on the TV they've showed like a longer, probably 40-second trailer for this. So it's cool. They're already ramping up the promotion for it, and it looks pretty good. I mean, Daleks again. I mean, for goodness sake, I'm torn on this because I quite like the fact that Chibnall's done a Dalek trilogy, if you like. He's done the last couple of years the specials have been Daleks. This is the third in his Dalek trilogy, which was rumored ages ago, so that's turned out to be true. But it does. I don't know. The Daleks look cool though. It's got a new gun. It's got this awesome looking gun, and the very last scene in the trailer is, I think it's the Dr. Dan and Yaz getting shot by a Dalek. I think. Certainly looks like it. But what do you reckon to the trailer? Is that getting you hyped for the special?
Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to piece together the timeline of where these Daleks are from, because if we go on the Flux thing, the Flux took out all of the Daleks and the Cybermen at the end.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I'm trying to figure out where these Daleks are from, because from the trailer they look like, other than the Daleks rocking this new weapon, they've got this new laser rifle thing that they're rocking and rolling with. Other than that, they look like just standard, Daleks that we've seen for a few years on the show. So I'm trying to wrap my head around that. There must obviously be a completely rational explanation.
We'll just forget it. We'll just forget it. That story's done. We won't mention it again. They'll just be back.
They're just back. So the Daleks are back then.
Yeah, it looks like they're trapped in some sort of time loop thing, doesn't it?
Yes,
they keep
that's
playing
interesting.
the same bit. Yeah, which is interesting.
So that's cool.
Trapped. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got a couple of cool people in it as well. So I think I'm saying her name right. So Aisling B. I think her name is written as Aisling, but I think it's pronounced Aisling. I think she's a very cool actress and comedian. She's really funny. So she's cool. And so the old elf storage thing. So it's obviously very Christmassy focused and all that.
Yeah, because I remember when you read me the synopsis, and I thought it was a dreadful synopsis, wasn't it? Something about an elf factory, and we were like, "What?"
Yeah.
But now it's in the trailer. Okay, let's go with it. Hopefully it'll be good. Hopefully it'll be a good one.
So I think Chibbers is really playing on this whole timey-wimey thing of late.
He's loving it, isn't he?
Flux, yeah.
Yeah, he's really got a thing for the timey-wimey stuff all of a sudden, hasn't he?
But I do like this new weapon, this new arm that some of the Daleks are rocking. It sort of spins around. It almost looks like the minigun that Arnie uses in a couple of the old 80s and 90s action flicks, but just a little mini laser version that the Daleks are using. So that's cool. And I really love this this thing that they're rocking with the TARDIS, with all of the cracks and scratches over it and everything. It seems to be splintering somehow and stuff like that. So be interesting to see what's going on with the TARDIS, because it was never explained properly. Some of the scenes where it was dripping black goo everywhere. And,
I know.
And all that lot. So I assume it was just done well because it was being overtaken by the angels and stuff. But it wasn't fully explained and stuff. So something's obviously wrong with the TARDIS. So it'd be a good explanation on that at least.
Yeah, I'll get to that in the review because that's really bugged me. But I'll come on to that.
Yeah. So there we go. Festive special, Eve of the Daleks. They're going to have to come up with some. They're really going to have to get the brains ticking over at Bad Wolf. The dudes that are taking over from the BBC when Russell takes over, because there's so many of the Daleks stories, that we've had.
Yeah,
I think they're going to have to just step away from that. I think.
But this one doesn't start off an R. It's so he did. What was it? The last couple have been Revolution, Resolution, and we thought, oh, what R word is he going to use this year? And he's gone with Eve. He's trying to, cheeky chibbers, throwing us off the scent.
Cheeky, isn't he?
Very cheeky.
Anyways, that's viewing figures and some chat on the trailer. Before we crack on with our review of the final chapter of Flux, remember to follow or subscribe to our show, whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on, so you won't miss a show when it lands every single Friday. You can do that by just doing a search for us in the app, or if you head over to the website, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk, there are links and buttons there to take you off to do that stuff. Or you can listen to all of our episodes for free in the browser itself. So do that. And while you're there, we mentioned Maria and her cool write-ups and all that stuff. So make sure you check out the reviews and the opinion pieces and articles and all that stuff from our writing team. Very, very cool. So go and check that out. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Again, links on the website. Come and give us a like and a follow. We chat Doctor Who throughout the week, mainly on Twitter and Instagram. So come and jump over there. And we have a free Discord server as well. So hop over there. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up. A very, very cool growing community of Who fans there. Really nice bunch of people. Come and chat all things around New Who, Classic Who, merchandise, people's collections, Big Finish, events, the whole thing. It's very cool. So come and jump over there. And also check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is of course. Have a swig of my tea.
Put your teeth in. Come on.
It is of course the Geek's Handbag.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. There's loads. I've been making this. I've been trying to get a new video out for weeks, but work's been mad. But there is loads of videos on there. Go and have a look. But there will be a new video if I ever get it finished before Christmas. Every time I try and do it, I get called into work. It's just like, oh, so and so's phoning sick. I'm like, oh, right. I'll just stop editing this then and come to work. So yeah, but I will get a new video out soon. And I'm also on all the socials, so come and chat to me on there. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Indeedy, yes.
But not TikTok.
Not TikTok yet.
No.
Yeah, so go and do that. Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag.
Yeah.
And a super quick update for next week. So next week will be our final episode of the year, because we're going to take a couple of weeks off over Christmas and New Year. So next week, it will be the final one, and it will be a slightly different format. We're hoping to draft in some of our writing team that we've already mentioned, so we can talk through our opinions on Flux overall and Series 13 and have a chat and a chinwag and chew the fat on that stuff. So that's hopefully coming next week. Either way, next week will be our final episode of 2021. So we'll keep you updated on that, so keep an eye on the socials for that stuff.
I'm so looking forward to that. I can't wait to hear what those guys, Mark, Maria, and thought of the whole thing. It's going to be, I'm really looking forward to chewing the fat with those guys.
Yeah. I know, they all do, yeah. So Mark, Maria, Matt, Jordan, Harry, they've all got, they if you go over to the website and read their reviews and stuff, they're very, very much more intelligent than I on putting reviews down and all that stuff. They really know their stuff. So yeah, interested in their thoughts as well, dude. Be good. Right, this week our review is, dude,
I can't believe this, can you? We're already at the end of the 6th episode, so it has to be The Vanquishers.
Peoples of the universe, the warriors of Sontar offer you hope.
I am the head of human resistance against Sontaran occupation.
And now we will ensure that the Flux takes apart your entire universe.
We have everything we need.
You try to kill
kill me right now.
You have no escape.
The Doctor has no escape, apparently.
Yeah.
A unanimous on that one. So the Vanquishers then. Chapter 6, the final one. You are right, dude. It's come around quick.
It has.
So that was first broadcast on the 5th of December. Very recently. It's much better than saying some of the old classic Who that was done. That makes me feel very old. So this was very fresh. It was written by Chris Chibnall. It was directed by Azure Salim. Stars Jodie, Mandip and John, as we've had throughout the entire series, with all the guests in that we've also seen throughout the series, all the crews in it.
Yeah.
And the synopsis is, having taken control of Division's base in the Void and of the precious fob watch containing the memories stolen from the Doctor by Tecteun, Swarm and Azure stand poised to achieve their ultimate revenge. Meanwhile, Sontarans, working in conjunction with the Grand Serpent, have taken Earth once again as part of their gleeful scheme to exploit the Flux to become the dominant species in the cosmos once and for all, surpassing even the Daleks and the Cybermen. With the help of Joseph Williamson and his tunnels through time, the Doctor's stranded companions must unite to vanquish the ultimate threats to life in the universe. That's a decent synopsis, that one. Much better than the festive special one, which was just, they're going to do stuff.
Something's going to happen.
Something might happen. Anyway, chapter 6, dude, hit me. Hit us all. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, because I haven't got any inkling what you made of this final, and I don't think you'll have any inkling what I'm about to say, because I haven't put a single thing anywhere or talked to anyone about this.
Same, yeah.
Yeah, but so I'm just going to cut to the chase and just say I thought it was a convoluted mess, and I was really disappointed in it. And I'm going to try not to get too ranty about this one, because I think it was an okay watch if you like, but it was hugely unsatisfying, I thought, as a final. And I think the worst thing about it for me was it was kind of exactly what I feared it would be. I just thought, yes, it's exactly what I thought. It was scene after scene, cut, few funny little moments, a few nice little moments, but just everything just wrapped up. Well, no, not everything. Lots of things not wrapped up, but those things that were wrapped up kind of just done very quickly and had no consequence at all. And it wasn't exactly a big reset button, but it may as well have been, to be honest. It's just like there was no consequence to anything that's happened over the last 6 episodes. And yeah, as I said, it's an okay watch if you just want to take it for what it is. But if you actually want to start looking at, you know, the threads that were interesting, the potential that we had for this series, if you really want to delve into it, those threads went nowhere. And it's such a shame, you know. There was so much in Flux in these 6 episodes that got me excited, you know. Swarm and Azure were fantastic and were just taken out within seconds, and I didn't even really understand why. You got the Grand Serpent, who I thought was a great character, and we were theorizing that he could be this, he could be the Master, he could be that. Turned out to be, I don't know, nothing, just got trapped on a rock. Don't even know why he was doing what he was doing. Daleks and Cybermen and Sontarans were kind of all wiped out again. Like you said, we don't know what's happened to them. Like, you know, that once again, the Doctor has committed genocide. So does that make her any better than them? It's just, I don't know. As I said, if you don't think too hard about these things, I could just watch it and say, oh, it was all right. But, you know, watching it again, and I watched this sober, by the way. I know a friend of mine that's been telling me off, and he's probably already switched off. Hello, Paul Burns. He tells me off every week for being negative about the show, and he's like, you shouldn't watch it drunk, and he's quite right. And I purposely didn't watch this drunk. So I'm not that I'm always drunk, but it was on the same day as the BFI, so I purposely did not watch this after getting back from the BFI. I waited until the following day. It was really hard because I had to stay off social media because I was worried about spoilers. So I watched this on the Monday, completely sober, and I'd avoided social media. And I don't know why, because as it turns out, there was no twists or spoilers or shocks anyway. And I think that's the other thing. I was expecting some big revelation. I was like, Is the watch going to be opened? Are we going to find out all the Doctor's past lives? That big build up we had. So I was, all these things that sort of were built up to be something just fizzled out into nothing. And I was just left hugely frustrated and disappointed. And I thought it was horribly directed and edited as well. Like, if I had been watching this drunk, I would have been doing my nut. But even watching it sober, like the cut. And I'm not just talking about jumping from scene to scene. I mean, the jump cuts in between the dialogue. I think it was trying to be like some cool modern style of filmmaking. A lot of series do this where, like I think they've done it in Doctor Who a few times where the Doctor's saying something, but then they'll just cut. I think they did it a lot with Tennant, didn't they? The sort of what?
Mm-hmm.
So they cut every time they say a word, and it was jumping around all over the place, and I was just like, this is doing my head in, quite frankly. I'm sorry, I'll wrap up. I just didn't really enjoy it, and I wanted to enjoy it, and there was the odd little moments here and there, but I found it hugely unsatisfying, and just a mess, really, and such a shame because this now impacts the whole series for me. And we said it right from the start. We've really enjoyed a lot of Flux, but obviously a lot of that depended on how it all played out in the final. And because the final, I think, is incredibly weak, that's kind of like not ruined the series for me, but it certainly made rewatching it less enjoyable. Like, you know what I mean? I was hoping I'd get to the end of this and think, I can't wait to watch this from start to finish and see it all unfold. Now we've got to the end of it. Now I'm just like, I'm really not bothered at all, which is exactly where I didn't want to be. I wanted it to be like, you know what, Flux had its problems, but that was a good series and I can't wait to go back and watch it from start to finish. That's where I wanted to be. And I'm just like, I just couldn't care less. I probably will watch it again at some point. Well, I will, because we'll be talking about it hopefully next week. So I'll probably try and watch it before we discuss the whole thing. But I certainly haven't got any inclination to go back and revisit it like I was hoping I would. So yeah, sorry to be negative, but that's me. What about you?
I feel you, dude. I just want to clarify as well, dear listener, that Adam is not indeed always drunk.
No, not always.
No.
No, I'm not actually. I joke about it, but I'm not. It's just that I've been to a lot of events recently where I've come back after a few drinks and watched Doctor Who. But yeah, I'm not always
drunk after the odd after an event, but he's not just sat there smashed at home.
Very drunk. Yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah. I have been to places to get drunk, not just sat at home constantly. I'm not. Yeah,
just lobbing empty beer bottles or beer cans at the TV like Moffat style.
No.
With his red wine and stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Well, you weren't very happy with this, mate. And I'm in the same boat with you, dude. It was the same. It was exactly what we feared. Remember when we reviewed Chapter 1? And we were like, actually, this is pretty badass. This is pretty sweet. But we're going to have to see how this pans out. And then as we got further through the series, we then went on to say that it feels like Chibbers is putting a lot into this whole story, and every episode has got a lot going on. Is he going to be able to tie this up by episode 6 or chapter 6, sorry, and give us a satisfying conclusion to what the Flux is? I mean, we kind of got that done a couple of episodes ago anyway, but what's going to happen to the Flux? Two of his best characters he's ever created and ever written for, Swarm and Azure. What's going to, who are they? Where did they come from? How are they going to be defeated? They're really giving the Doctor some trouble. This is not just a flash of the Sonic, I've defeated them, see you later. It's ended up being worse than that. And then we had the whole Vinder and Bell thing. It turns out that literally was just the story. Just two people looking for each other and found each other, and that was it. Job done. Thanks for that. No. And then the whole fob watch thing. And we did say, I think we said in the last couple of weeks that there's absolutely going to be a lot of carryover into the specials that happen next year. So we got 2 specials that are leading up to, we assume, a regeneration from Jodie into another Doctor, unless they do some kind of James Bond thing. Maybe, I don't know, but I think James Bond's been out long enough now. There should be no spoilers for that, the whole Daniel Craig thing.
Oh, yes, right, I'm with you.
See what I mean? So there shouldn't be any spoil. Yeah, it's been out long enough now. So it's a really just disappointing end to the series, dude. I think that's the biggest word that's just knocking around my head. I've watched it twice, and after the second time, I thought, nope, no better. It's just in a way, I would have preferred them for Dan to trip and fall onto the giant reset button. I think I would have preferred that to what we actually got, because you could see that they were scrambling, and I think you can see that they were scrambling towards the end to try and wrap some of this stuff up. And I truly feel like the pandemic and how it's affected everybody trying to make the show and have had to cut down the number of episodes, I really think that's had a big impact.
Massive.
Because I think if we had this over even just another 2 episodes, over 8 episodes, not even the usual 10 or 11, whatever, I think just another 2 episodes and they could have slowed things down a bit, because it was non-stop through most of the episodes. And in a way, that's okay. That's not the end of the world, because you're never going to be bored watching Flux, that's for sure. You're never going to be reaching for your phone because you look away for 10 seconds, you've missed something, and that's it. It's game over. But at a detriment to having a satisfying conclusion to the series, it's just made it really difficult. It's really tough to then. I think the biggest disappointment. There are a couple of good things we'll get onto, but I think the biggest disappointment for me was Swarm and Azure. So they want to enact this ultimate revenge on the Doctor, because it turns out that while she was working with Division, it was her. We had that flashback with the other Doctor, Joe Martin's Doctor.
Yeah.
We had that flashback scene where they went and captured Swarm and Azure, and they imprisoned them on that asteroid or that planet, whatever. So they want to enact this big revenge, and they almost do it. So they do this thing where they start to, the Doctor starts to literally disintegrate, and then they put her back together. And then the idea is that it's going to be an endless loop of torture. They're going to disintegrate the Doctor to a certain point where she thinks she's going to die. Then they're going to put her back together and just do that over and over again as revenge. But in order to do that, they need to free time itself. So, those little specks that we said were done very poorly in the CGI.
Yeah.
So apparently that was time. That is time itself actually doing things. And time, they were going to free time from Atropos and all that stuff. And in the end, it was just, well, the Flux was meant to do that, wipe out this universe so I could be free, but you failed, so you're dead. And that was it. It all happened literally within 10 seconds. Those 2 amazing characters who have been written so well up to now, and the performances from the actors playing those characters well have been so good.
They were brilliant, yeah.
So good. Sam Spruill, who played Swarm, is just so, much better than some of the Masters performances for me in the last couple of years. Just so threatening and badass and all the rest of it. So time is miffed because it can't be freed because the Flux hasn't done its job. So because it manifests itself as another version of Swarm, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So there's another Swarm. And
I didn't get that at first. I didn't know what the hell was going on.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah,
second time. So time is miffed, and it's like, well, the Flux has failed, so you failed in a way. So snap of the old fingers, you're done. And then it turns into the Doctor. And that was the only good bit of it, really. It was saying, it was almost like the David Tennant era where he was warned about his regeneration is coming up. Yeah. So it was that kind of foreboding, your
time is coming to an end.
Yeah. So that was cool. And then that was done. And then the rest of it, all these just little pockets of story, like the Bell and Vinda thing. I honestly thought we were going to get an insight into who could the baby have been someone significant? We thought it might have been even the Doctor at some point.
Yeah.
Before the whole Timeless Child thing with Tech Tayun, that was, or somebody else significant, to tie those 2 characters in. But no, it was literally just a random guy who was on a space station and a random woman who was, trying to find him. And because of the whole Flux wiping out the universe, they want to find each other before that happens. And that's it. They just did. There was no, there was no thing. And then escaping the passenger thing, it was just, we just have to shoot the gun at a certain time. and then we just run up the steps and then we're out.
What about all the other people in Passenger as well? Were they all just killed by the flux?
They would have, yeah, because Passenger absorbs the flux energy, doesn't it?
Millions of people, wasn't there supposed to be in that? Or was, I don't know.
Well, I don't know, because apparently it's an infinite loop of realities that are inside Passenger. Like it creates an infinite number of spaces inside. So the flux would have gone into one of them, and then I don't know, but so essentially that's a ticking time bomb, though, because if that Passenger character ever gets found in the future and somebody opens him up, or he gets whatever, the flux is going to come back again.
Yeah. Oh, not the flux again.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, dude, the whole thing with the fob watch.
Oh no.
That to me was, so as Yorman swore, well, the most disappointing thing. Second most disappointing thing was this whole non-commitment. There's just no commitment from Chibbers anymore. It's like you either go full into it and you commit and you're like, right, this is the memories of the Doctor. We're going to get a really good insight, and that's going to play into the specials that are coming up next year and everything. But no, the Doctor somehow, even though she's been bitching about it for so long, all of a sudden she's like, I don't want to know anymore. So all of those bloody scenes that we had with Yaz nagging at her, like, what are you trying to find here? What's going on? You're keeping secrets. And the Doctor's like, I don't want to tell you, blah, 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 but I'm trying to find out history about myself. I'm desperate to find out. She has it in the palm of her hand, and all of a sudden, at the snap of her fingers, I'm not interested anymore. I just don't want to know. But then he's even more less committal when he's like, right, I'm going to have the Doctor hide this in the TARDIS. But then he's even less committed after that by saying, actually, TARDIS, hide this in the deepest depths of whatever this is, but with the caveat that when I ask for it, I want you to...
Unless I really need it. The thing is, you see...
Do you know what I actually do? Sorry to cut across you.
Yeah, go on.
When the Doctor delivered that line, that was me done watching the second watch through.
Really?
I just didn't want to watch the last few minutes. I was just like, I'm done.
I've got to be honest, I found it very hard to watch this a second time. Not because of all the frustration, but because I genuinely was quite bored by it. I was just thinking the whole direction the episode took just frustrated me so much that I genuinely found it quite hard to get through this a second time. This is what I mean about not revisiting the whole series. And I think you're right. It's buckled under the fact it's been cut to 6 episodes. That's painfully obvious. I said about the cart trying to make it to the finish line before the wheels fell off. The wheels didn't just fall off. The cart fell off the edge of the cliff. I mean, it just completely got obliterated. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't know why Chibnall did it to himself, because why throw in all that stuff? And there is some great stuff. I really liked Belle as a character, and I quite liked Vinda by the end of it. But why do this to yourself, Chibnall? Why throw in all this stuff and put yourself under all this pressure to include these characters if they're going to be so insignificant by the end of it? And I do think it's, like you said, maybe because it was, only 6 episodes, and I believe, I'm not sure when this changed, but I think originally there was going to be 8. I don't know. And I'm not sure how much of this is going to carry over to the specials either, because I get the feeling that most of the stuff that we're talking about, like the Grand Serpent and the things we would have liked explained, and Azure and Swarm and all the stuff we like, I get the feeling that that's not going to carry over. And I could be wrong. I think the only thing that really might carry over into the specials we're going to get next year is going to be the Fob Watch, possibly coming back in Jodie's last episode, something to do with the regeneration. Because I don't know. I don't get the feeling that Chibnall's going to leave it there. I think he's just dangling that watch in front of us like a carrot. It's just going to be left teasing us. And I get a feeling that will at some point be explained, I think. But I don't know. Or is he just going to leave it as something that if another writer wants to pick it up, they can, because it's in the heart of the TARDIS? I don't know. Not too sure where that's going, really. I'm not sure if I want it to be picked up either, because although it intrigues me, and although I love the idea of like this crazy old horrible looking haunted house having all these memories in it, I like that idea, but I really don't like the idea of all these lives that the Doctor's supposed to have led that she doesn't know about. I mean, there was a bit where she talked to Carvanista, who said, oh, I was your companion and you don't even remember, and all this stuff. And so that's playing into the whole lives that we don't know about as well, isn't it, I assume? So I'm very conflicted on that because I don't like this whole storyline anyway, but I quite like the concept of it, if that makes sense. Like if it wasn't the Doctor, I think I'd be quite into that story, like these lives that someone doesn't know about, and this creepy house, if they walk into it, it's all in there for them to discover. I like that concept. I just don't like the fact it applies to the Doctor. It's like, no, I don't want this backstory for the Doctor. I just don't like it being about the Doctor, basically. But I like the whole idea of it, if you know what I mean. I like the concept. Yeah,
I mean, there was a couple of things that, in terms of setting up a potential story in the future, were not too bad. But it's just, I mean, if I was Russell now, I'd be like, for sake, unless Chibbers really has got a plan to wrap this all up in the couple of specials, I don't think anything's going to happen in the festive special, either the Daleks. I think that's an isolated story.
I get the feeling it will be. Yeah.
We might get a little bit at the end, like the final couple of minutes. There might be something. I personally think the Grand Serpent's going to carry over into the specials. I don't think he's done.
I kind of hope not, though, because I quite like his character, you know. I think he's played quite well. So I wouldn't mind if we saw a bit more of him.
Yeah, that'd be okay. I think that's just too... Because it's kind of weird how he was wrapped up as well, because...
Very weird,
not only do we not know anything about who he is...
Why he created UNIT, or did he create UNIT? I mean, what was the whole thing with UNIT about?
Kind of, yeah, he did, yeah.
Why was he doing all that?
I think that was because when the Centaurans were doing their plans to invade and all that kind of stuff, he could sort of, hide it under the radar sort of thing. Because Kate Stewart says a couple of times that she's the human resistance leader for the Centauran invasion kind of thing. So I think he was just there to make sure that the Centauran invasion went smoothly, that they could properly overthrow, the planet and stuff like that. If UNIT was rocking on all cylinders, this wouldn't have happened on the Briggs Watch, let's be honest.
No way.
So he was there, I think, to divert anything away from UNIT's eyes and ears and stuff. But we don't know why he's doing it, though. We don't know why he's in cahoots. We don't know why he's keen for the Centaurans to take over anyway. He just seems to be in cahoots with them, and he doesn't seem to like them either, which is weird. I don't know what his motive is.
No, that's right. There's a bit of friction between them anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's stuck on this asteroid, right? Weirdly, with some kind of atmosphere. So that's strange in itself.
That's weird, wasn't it? Must be the same as that space rider that Eleven and Clara rode in Rings of Akatan. It's just got a magic air capsule around it somehow.
Yeah.
Talking to UNIT, what did you think of Kate Stewart? I mean, she did absolutely bugger all,
dude.
I mean, she may as well have not been in it. Is it really?
It's just another casualty of the stripping us down to 6. I mean, we could have had a whole episode, dude. If we had, I don't want to hark on about it, but if we had 8 episodes, we could have had an entire episode with Kate Stewart, pretty much. It could have been one of those lovely Dr. Light episodes where it's all about UNIT and, maybe Yaz and Dan are in it, but the Doctor's off.
Osgood, I was really hoping we might get her back, even for a scene.
Yeah.
She got mentioned, awesome. Which is nice.
Yeah, because she's still knocking about because Kate Stewart phones her, doesn't she? I'm going dark. Sort of thing. Yeah, so that would have been good. But yeah, she's just in the tunnels saying to people, that door,
lurking
that gate.
Around.
Yeah, and she...
The thing is, we're saying this would have improved with 8 episodes. There is part of me that thinks some things would have been improved, but I'm not sure if it would have improved the overall story, because
it wouldn't.
I think that's the thing. Isn't it? That's the thing. The overall story, the structure of it doesn't hold up. Like, there are great moments, there are good episodes, there are good bits, but the overall story just isn't strong enough, and it doesn't work particularly well. So even if we had 2 more episodes, I think we would have got more nice scenes, but I don't think it would have made a lot of difference. So just to quickly go to the point you made about Azure and Swarm, 2 brilliant characters that Chibnall's come up with, absolutely fantastic and brilliant performances. But it's as if he created them, but then he didn't really know what to do with them. So we got a couple of great scenes. They were brilliant early on, really sort of like evil and venomous, and oh wow, these guys mean business. But by the time we get to episode 6, what did they really do? More walking around, more talking. They didn't do anything. So I don't know if we actually would have benefited from another 2 episodes in some respects. I think we would have just got more and more thrown in.
I think we would have done in terms of
allowing it to breathe a bit, I suppose. Yeah.
From in my opinion, it would have been better to have wrapped a couple of things up prior to the last episode. So by having another couple of episodes, we could have already been done with the whole Bell and Vinder thing. We could have been done with the unit thing. And then that leaves the final episode, or the final 2 episodes, is the big showdown with Swarm and Azure. And that's it.
They should have been the big showdown, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. Because they were almost written to be that anyway. They were always going to be, because like we've mentioned loads of times, they really were a good threatening, if a lot of episodes were like, well, they were no threat anyway. They were, fairly good monster or alien, but they were never going to defeat the Doctor. I honestly thought that these two were going to give the Doctor so much trouble and really, really just bring her to her knees, to the point where she's almost about to die and regenerate, whatever. But, then it comes back to that really cool concept that the Doctor's always got a plan. But they pushed her to the absolute limit where that plan almost never came off. That could have been your final episode and made much more of those characters. But the fact that it's like The Rise of Skywalker. Anyone that's seen that, they tried to rush so many things into that final film. You ended up trying to tie up loads of different things, and it ended up just being a mess in the end. It was just, so many things were competing with each other. This was exactly the same thing. You get to the final point, and it's like, right, chibbers, you've written so much stuff, and you've tried to cram in so much stuff. How are you going to... We don't expect everything to be tied up in a nice little bow, but how are you at least going to tie up some of the threads that can't carry over, or shouldn't carry over, should I say? And so that's just a casualty of time, excuse the pun. So I think, by having a couple of episodes, it would have dived into Unit a bit more, into the Grand Serpent a bit more, tied up a few things, and then you're on to your big showdown with the main baddies, which turned out to be time itself anyway, which was just rushed at the end, right?
Yeah, I was going to say the showdown would have been great if it had been between Swarm and Azure. I think that's the thing. I mean, Sontarans, made for a good bit of, action on screen, but it wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like, you throw in the Sontarans, you throw in the Cybermen are back, 2 of them, just 2 in a spaceship. But I know it's supposed to be like billions of them or whatever, but a couple of Daleks, but it's kind of thrown in there just for the sake of it, isn't it? I didn't feel anything for any of that. The Sontarans, I probably came off the best, I suppose, in the sense that I quite like the fact that they managed to get a fine line between being a bit comedic, but then they had a threat level, and there was, they weren't afraid to take out stuff. But then there was that scene in the sweet shop, which I was just absolutely thought we'd drifted into some sort of children in need sketch. I was like, is this a deleted scene that's accidentally been left in? The thing is, the first time I watched it, I was just cringing, thinking, what is going on with this Sontaran in the sweet shop? And then somebody in one of the chats I'm in said, kids would have loved that. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm just a bit of a grumpy old so-and-so. Maybe if I was a kid, I would have loved that. So on the second time, I did let it off, and it's okay. It's kind of funny, but it was so random, wasn't it? That Sontaran just munching chocolate. I don't know what that. I don't know. That
was hilarious, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, I was going to say I was a lot more forgiving the second time. And I thought, actually, it's kind of fun, but it just threw me off so much when it first came on the screen. I was like, what's happening?
of all the weak Achilles heels that the Sontarans could have.
Chocolate. I mean, I can relate to it hugely.
Yeah.
But it was nice. I liked all the shots of Liverpool with the Sontarans in and stuff. It's good to see them. I always love it when we see monsters on location, even if it is poor CGI in places. But it's good to see them, on the streets of Liverpool, I thought, with the Beatles statues and stuff.
I think overall the Sontarans did come off quite well, because
they did.
It's the first time in a few years where they've actually lived up to what their main objective as a species and stuff, as they're known for. It's that whole, we just want to be at war with everybody in the universe. That's what they're made for, So that was kind of cool, that they're constant pushing to be at war with Earth and take over Earth and take out the Daleks and the Cybermen, all that stuff. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. They did come off probably the best out of the big three, if you like, out of those three, between the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Centaurans. But that whole there seems to be a trend, doesn't it, with Chibbers that we're seeing now? Because when we had that previous episode, when they went back to the Crimean War, that was all wrapped up rather quickly at the end. It was like the Centaurans were really threatening, and they were really...
And then they went to sleep and got blown up.
Yeah, so there was that heartbreaking scene, actually, when I can't remember the character's name, but the British colonel is
the general.
The general, yeah. He knows that all of his troops are going to be wiped out, but he sends them to battle anyway. And then right at the end of the episode, the Doctor's, in the really rare time where she's given us exposition, she's like, well, the Centaurans, didn't you know, they have this thing where blah, 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 blah. And then in the final 5 minutes, they do that. And the same thing happened here. It's like, you go all through the episode and they look really, the Centaurans are going to win. This is going to be pretty badass. And then at the end, it's like, what can we do? We've got 3.5 minutes left in this scene. How are we gonna defeat the Centaurans in this bit? Oh yeah, let's just do that. Let's just put the shield behind the fleet instead of in front of it. Brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say another casualty of time or budget or whatever, I don't know, to do with the Centaurans was, so they killed off all the Lipari, didn't they? And we get the old, poor old Carvanista does his little dog wolf whistle. But that was all off screen. So it kind of went over my head on the first watch, if you like. I was like, oh, yeah, hang on. So they've all been killed. But it was weird that we didn't sort of see it. It was all, it didn't have much impact, I think is what I'm trying to say, because it was all done off screen. But that again could be a casualty of time or budget. I don't know.
Dude, what did you think about? This is another example for me of Chibbers not committing fully as well. Had that lovely scene between Carvanista and the Doctor.
When they're in the cell?
Yeah, where we finally find out why he's been a bit off with her. And it turns out that in the previous incarnation, whatever, it turns out that he was one of the Doctor's companions. And he's actually really still cut up about it a little bit, because he's like, there was one point where I would have died for you. I would have done anything for you and stuff like that. So then we want to find out more, but no. The Chibbers has to write in this get out clause. It's like, they've put a chip in my head that if I talk about it, I'm dead. Another time, I'm like, I'm really trying hard not to swear on this episode, but there was another time on the second rewatch, especially, I'm literally shouting at the TV, dude. I'm not even joking. I'm like, for beep's sake, why are you not committing to any? It's like he's locking everything away. It's like, dude, you've been fired already. You've got 2 episodes left. What are you holding back all of this stuff for? This is meant to be your swan song, like Series 13. You yourself advertised it as this epic adventure, and that you've hidden it all away. And even when we're in the finale, the last episode, it's like, oh, wicked. There's this amazing thing. We're going to get a little story here. Oh, no, they've put a chip in my head. So I literally can't talk about it. Otherwise, they're going to blow my head up. Dude.
It's only just the penny has dropped as well, because someone tweeted me and said, oh, I bet you loved the Blake 7 reference in this week's. And I'm like, what Blake 7? And even on the second watch, I've not understood. And I think I finally get it. It's this, because there's one of the Blake 7 characters has a chip in their head that limits them and stops them being violent. I'm guessing that's what they were talking about, and I've only just twigged that. But yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. And the thing is, again, this is where I'm conflicted, because I don't like this whole storyline of the Doctor having all these lives and whatever. But I love the thought of the Doctor and Carvanista being on adventures together. I think, I can imagine that. I bet I would actually quite like to see that series, even with Jodie, who most of the time drives me nuts. I think actually I can imagine her and Carvanista going on adventures together, and I quite like that idea. And I didn't see that coming, so I quite like that bit of writing. But yeah, it's like he throws the grenade, but then he quickly puts the pin in so it doesn't go off.
We needed it as well.
Yeah.
In this final episode, I honestly thought that like you mentioned earlier at the beginning, we were going to get some kind of revelation. There would be like maybe an old character would pop up and help the Doctor out, or there'd be some old storyline that reared its head and that kind of thing. But it was just all in this little bubble of the timeless child thing. And that's another thing as well. The same things happen. Oh, dude, we've got to talk about something we did like in a minute, but the same thing happened.
There isn't much on my sheet. I'm going to be honest. There isn't much on my sheet I did like, but go on.
Do you remember at the end of series 12, the whole timeless child thing dropped? Turns out the Master was telling the truth. And that was a massive thing for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
We know it's massive because it broke the internet afterwards with everybody complaining or saying how good it was, whichever side of the fence you fell on. But in essence, it was a very big change to the show's history and the canon for the character and everything like that. And then it just went away. They dropped the bomb, and then with the festive special, it was like, so that massive thing that you dropped before, going to talk about that at all? Nope.
Well, the Doctor even said, I don't need to know, my past doesn't make me who I am and all that.
Yeah. She does a few
changed
180s, doesn't she? Yeah. And then the same things happened. If you look at the trailer for the festive special, it's almost like Flux didn't happen. Almost like all of those big things that the Doctor now knows about herself. She's like, at the end, she's all chipper. All right, Dan, do you want to join us?
Yeah, I know. That's the other thing. And actually, I've got it. The guys on the Doctor Who Show podcast, which I was listening to yesterday, pointed this out. You know, that's the other thing. Millions and trillions of people died.
Yes, yeah. And
she's
I know
all
it's
chipper. Television, yeah. And these guys said it as well. But I know it's television, and we've got to wrap it up, and we can't end on a downer. But it's like millions of people died, and it's just like, okay, what should we do? Where should we go now? And everyone's jolly and happy, and they all come on, Dan, you know, you've been dumped by whatever her name is. Get in the TARDIS. Yeah, get in the TARDIS and let's go. More adventures, more killing, more death. Come on, it's great fun. Get in the TARDIS. So that was another thing. But this you were saying about the twist and surprise. I mean, I was expecting Ruth Doctor to pop up. I thought, come on, she's made a little cameo. She's going to pop up, isn't she, in the final? No. There was no, I would have liked something. I would have liked a little twist or surprise or something, because, as I said, I avoided the internet for nearly 24 hours. Well, I avoided Twitter, basically, for 24 hours, because I thought, oh, no, I mustn't look until I've watched it, because there's bound to be some big reveal or surprise or a returning character or something. Don't want it ruined. And I needn't have worried, because there wasn't anything at all, really.
Not really. And also, another letdown. Sorry, guys.
No, go on.
Another letdown was the Joseph Williamson and the Williamson tunnels. It turns out that he just It turns out he just stumbled upon some kind of fragment in time when he was digging the tunnels. And the only thing that he's been doing throughout the series is just legging through these tunnels. I can't even remember what his purpose for doing that was, but the reason why Dan ran into him so many times across time, and Dan scratching his head like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be doing it. He's just been cataloguing all these different gates and tunnels, so that he can run through time. And then at the end, he literally gets dismissed like a little schoolboy.
Yeah.
The Doctor's like, you've done brilliantly. Thank you. If you wouldn't mind buggering off now, the rest of the finale is for us lot.
We don't need you anymore. Your exposition is done. And that's another thing. His character completely changed. And the guys on the Doctor Who Show podcast pointed this out, but I thought exactly the same thing. Up until this point, he's been like ranty and shouty and quite funny, and I've quite liked him. It's like a different performance this week. He was like, okay, well, thank you. So he was all polite and, well, I'll be off now. And I was like, hang on, what's happened to him?
Yeah.
Like, was it, I don't know what happened there. I just thought it was really strange.
But that just ended up being way too convenient, though, because you were kind of scratching your head in the same way that Dan was.
Yeah.
Every time he ran into him or that character popped up, and he was really shouty and ranty, wasn't he? And
yeah, I thought he was quite funny at times.
Yeah, and then at the end, it's almost like,
I'm done now. I'll get my coat.
But also, this concept of the Doctor's been split in 3 ways across 3 different times, right?
Yeah.
Here we go. So the Doctor's been split into 3 versions of herself. She's trapped in on the Division ship with Azure and Swarm. She's also back on the Lipari ship with Carvanista and Bell. And she's also with Yaz and Dan and Kate Stewart and all those guys. Chibbers is looking at his notes. He's thinking, right, I've split the Doctor 3 ways across these 3 different time periods. We need something for our heroes. We need some kind of series of tunnels that enable them to go through these different time periods. What is there that's been there? There must be something I can write. This dude who's been popping up through time throughout the whole series. He's been digging these tunnels. God, this is not as easy as this, is it? I haven't put 2 and 2 together and come up with 4. No, this can't be easy. Sandra, come in here a second. I'm just floating this idea by you. I've accidentally... no, it's all right, I've done it. It's
Who's
all
Sandra?
Good. Just his PA or somebody.
Oh, I thought it was his wife.
Sanj, when you're making the tea, love, come here.
Oh,
I've got this brilliant concept for you. This doesn't work. It does work out. It does. Lovely. Check mark next to that. It's too convenient, dude. It's way too convenient. And you can argue that, yes, that was set up from the beginning, that this Joseph Williamson character was going to come to fruition and be an aid to them via these series of tunnels. But it's almost like he retrofitted that into the finale. It's like, how do you, without the TARDIS, how do you get these characters across time? The shouty dude that no longer shouts.
Yeah, the shouty dude that no longer shout. Yeah, I mean that's the thing as well. I mean the split, the three Jodies. I mean, my idea of hell, to be honest. But if you like Jodie's Doctor, I think you would have found those scenes really fun. Like when she's like being all quirky, talking to herself. So I'm sure there were lots of people out there who liked that episode who will have switched off this podcast ages ago.
Yeah, probably.
We'll have really enjoyed that. I was finding it's like torture. Although actually, to be fair, I will say Jodie wasn't bad in this episode by any means. The thing is, it's weird. You know, my favourite scene with Jodie in this episode is the 1 minute scene where she's got the dark coat on. Why can't she just play it like that? So like the serious, like your time is coming, and she's really, I really like her when she's playing the Doctor like that. Very serious and very to the point, and then you got then they switch to the the Doctor that we've got, and she's like, my time's in the end. It's all, she's all giggling. Oh God! But yeah, I'm sure there were people that would have loved all the the Jodie sort of splitting into 3 splinters and stuff. I'm just glad it didn't go on any longer than it did. To be honest, I think that joke could have got thin very quickly. I like the fact she saved herself. That was pretty cool. The fact she turns up and saves herself from the serpent was kind of fun, I guess.
That was. To be fair to Jodie, she has had a good series, I would say. I've enjoyed watching her more than series 11 and 12, put it that way. She's not had a bad series, and some of her performances have been okay. The problem is, though, I still 100% agree with what you said. I can't remember what episode it was, like in the last, since we've been doing Flux, is that she has these moments where she's good, but you always know what you're going to get. She's very predictable. So even when those scenes where she should be kicking off and going mad and really going for it, she kind of just does this thing where she almost goes inward. That must just be the way she wants to play the character. But instead of being very raw, and extrovertive in her performance, she almost goes introverted and she almost recedes, and her voice lowers a bit. And you can tell that maybe naturally when Jodie's having a ruck with her husband or something, that's what she does. Instead of going shouty, she just goes more like, oh yeah, go on, keep pushing. She's more probably that kind of person. I don't know. We don't know Jodie personally, of course. But it just, it's like those moments where it should be like, wow, it's very predictable. So, but she did have a few good scenes though. I will give her that.
She was okay. I mean, that's the thing. There's never any wow moment for me with Jodie. She really does strike me as she just goes on to autopilot and plays the Doctor the same, pretty much week in, week out. And the thing is, she had started to win me over. I think there were signs of, because this is the thing, I've said this a billion times, I so want to love Jodie's Doctor. I really do. I mean, God, I bought so much blimmin' merch when she was announced before seeing her on screen. I have no problem with the character of the Doctor being played by a woman or anything like that. I don't even know why I have to say that, you know what I mean? But you do. I so want to love Jodie's Doctor, and she does have moments when she wins me over, but then it quickly goes out the window for me. I just find her irritating. But as I've said a million times before, there will be people that love Jodie's Doctor and love these moments and find her quirkiness fun. So it's just a personal thing in terms of taste. It's just, she just doesn't appeal to me as a Doctor, but she wasn't bad in this one, and she got some nice little moments and stuff. But yeah, I would have just loved to see her playing it more like the dark coat Doctor. She even said, didn't she, "Oh, I like that coat." I was thinking, yeah, take it. Take the coat. It looks so much better in dark. It's a bit like the dark jacket on the 7th Doctor, isn't it? I don't know. It just, prefer the darker side of the Doctor, but that's just me. Yeah,
you make an interesting point there. I remember speaking to, when I was a guest on the Doctor Who show actually a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
and chatting to Rob there. We spoke about Jodie's costume very briefly, and it's weird that they haven't they haven't progressed that at all, because out of all the Doctors that have come since 2005, she's probably got the most costumey out of all of them. And we compared her almost to Colin Baker's costume, where it's not like some of the Doctors, like with Eccleston, it was just the leather coat and the jumper. Tennant just had the suit, but with the Converse, a little bit quirky. Her one seems to be like the previous Doctors have just been very smartly but quirky dressed, where she's had the most costumey, but they've never really tweaked it or moved it on. She's never had a... So you're right, seeing her in another costume, it was like, whoa, that looks really cool. Like, why didn't they do that a series ago? It would have been cool to change it up a bit. And so that in itself lends into what you were saying about, what you're going to get with Jodie. It's the predictable thing. There were a couple of scenes where she was quite good. That scene in particular was okay. She was quite funny, like we heard in the trailer. Like, are you trying to kill me or what? She's got that, she has a good mix of humour sometimes and stuff. But for me, it's just that she seems to be stuck at 80% a lot of the time, and you just really want her to go for it and lose her beat. And it's like I wouldn't say she's holding back, because I truly feel like from her point of view, from Jodie's point of view, she's probably giving everything into the character,
I feel that, because it's clear that she loves the part. I mean, I think she clearly loves the role and loves playing the Doctor. And it's kind of one of the reasons I feel bad criticising her, really, because I've met Jodie. She's absolutely lovely. She's a lovely person. She's always fun in interviews. If you see her on Graham Norton or whatever, she comes across as such a nice person. And anything I say about her performance is nothing against her at all, because I think she's a really nice person. But yeah, in terms of the Doctor, I just don't feel it from her most of the time, unfortunately. But I mean, we got a little moment between her and Yaz. I thought they were going to have a little in the TARDIS, so almost getting a little bit close. I almost expected to see them leaning in before Dan interrupted, but it didn't quite get to that point. But there was definitely a moment there, wasn't there? There's longing looks, and the Doctor's crying, and so she can feel emotion for that, but she can't feel anything for poor old Graham when he's trying to talk to her about cancer. But she can feel it with Yaz, it would seem.
Yeah, and Yaz was the only person that she gave a nice hug to as well when she got joined back together, I think.
So is that going to progress in the specials, do you think? Because I think this could be leading up to the regeneration. I think it's going to be like Yaz is going to be in bits, isn't she? When the Doctor goes, it's all going to be... well, I don't know, actually. Depends how the Doctor does go. But we got a little moment there. And I think that's been sort of... I wouldn't say it's been building, but I think I wasn't surprised to see that at the end. I think after the hologram scene that we got a few weeks back, I was kind of expecting there to be something like this in the TARDIS. For old Dan boulders in and ruins the moment.
Yeah. And talking of Dan, John Bishop, he had another good episode where he very quickly, as it's probably the least experienced actor out of the cast.
Yeah.
He's done brilliantly throughout the series. He's really just landed on his feet early as the character of Dan, and he's been very good. But again, he just didn't really have a lot to do again, did he? In this one?
It's one of the notes I made, actually. It's such a shame. Dan started off so strong. And if you think about him in the Sontaran episode, how good he was going around with his wok, and he got so many great moments, some good lines of dialogue. Dan's parents, he really started off as a strong character, and very quickly, halfway through the series, he's just been shoved to the back like Graham was. He gets the odd line, but even his performance feels like toned down. Like he's just been pushed into the foreground again, hasn't he? Unfortunately,
yeah, a little bit.
It's the background. Sorry, yeah, it's a real shame, I think, because I really like Dan from the get go, and I think great potential with him. But hopefully, we'll see a bit more from him in the specials. Because the two people that stood out for me for this series have been Dan. And I really liked Professor Jericho, Kevin McNally. So obviously he bit the dust this week. And it was, it's one of the few times in the Chibnall era where I felt something when someone dies. I'm like, oh, not Jericho. But I think he went out in a good scene. It's one of the few scenes I thought was really good, where he was like, an awfully big adventure and all that. I just thought, yeah, okay, that's good. That's good performance from Kevin McNally, good character. Kind of right that he was killed off, because it brought a bit of emotion to the episode, and I'm glad that I liked him enough to care when he died. Do you know what I mean? Like, no offense, but if that had been Ryan, I'd been probably just like, oh, okay. But I was sad to see Jericho get blown up. I mean, not shot. They were good performance, but they're the characters I really liked in this series. I thought they were fun and played nice character pieces, if you like.
Yeah, it was quite sad when Eustachius got killed, because he's really thrown himself into the companion role, hasn't he? Going on last episode as well, when he's travelling around the world with Yaz and Dan, and he's fully committed. Like, he didn't have to do any of that. He's seen the threat that the universe is under, and he's got an inkling into what's happening around. He's a clued up guy, and he's been a professor all his life, but he's never been exposed to anything like this until the Doctor rocks up and stuff. So, at the drop of a hat, he's given himself to try and save the world, essentially, save the universe even. So that for me made it, that was a nice bit of writing from Chibnall, because that guy didn't have to do that. He was like, he just did it on autopilot. It just speaks well of his character. He's straight up for it, and he's got his hands dirty, and he's done stuff, and he nobly went out at the end, with that kind of, right, this is it then, takes out one of the Sontarans and closes his eyes and accepts his fate. It was a really well written end to a character. It was just so sad that was one of the few characters you felt for when they went.
I just liked the character. I thought he was very nicely played. What's up with Diane then?
Wow.
Do you want to go for a drink? Do you want to go for that drink, Diane? No, you were late. Oh, goodbye.
She's got a bee in her bonnet.
She's not happy as she was. Yeah,
she thinks
poor old Dan blown out.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out, dude, if she thinks that Dan intentionally stood her up, because he even has to explain it to her quickly again. He's like, "Look, that wasn't my fault. I wasn't late." He's desperate to try and say to her, "Look, I wasn't late. You've seen what I've had to deal with." So he's trying to get across to her.
You'd think she'd be a bit more understanding. It's not like she's not seen some of this stuff go on herself. She's experienced all the mayhem. You'd think she'd think, I'll give him a bit of slack. We've all been through a few things, but no.
She's got a right bee in the bonnet about being stood up. So that's not good. I honestly thought that, everything doesn't have to be a happy ending, but I honestly thought that she was going to be like, yeah, of course. Thank you. Because of you, I'm still here. So, thanks. Let's go for that. It's just
another example of like, we don't need that character anymore. So goodbye. Yeah, you've served your purpose for this story. So you're off. We don't need you anymore. And Dan's got to go off traveling. So we can't have Diane, lingering around. Oh, I've got to go back to Yaz as well. Is she still nagging? She's a bit naggy, wasn't she? When the Doctor's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have time, and Yaz is like, well, yeah, let me in. You're shutting me out, and I'm like, oh, Yaz,
yeah, just
please
shut up, love.
Oh, I see. This is another character I really wanted to love in this series, but she's just the way she's been written. And I don't dislike Yaz, but bit of a ball around the doctor's ball and chain around the doctor's leg, isn't she? At the minute, she needs to just ease off a bit.
The doctor should just be like
high maintenance. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, she's very needy and high maintenance. It's
very needy.
Bit of a contrast because especially in the last series, I think they did push Yaz a bit further in front of Graham and what's his name? Ryan, sorry. Yeah, they did push her character in front of those.
How could you forget Ryan? One of the best characters we've had in years.
Yeah, right. So they wrote her as a very strong, real, Doctor Who was becoming a real strong female-led cast, which is great. But then in this one, she's gone from being very strong to being really needy and, like you said, high maintenance and just borderline just whiny a lot of the time.
Well, we used to criticise Rose for this, and I would argue she's even more so than Rose, to be honest. Like Rose would just give a bit of a huff and a look. Yes, he's proper naggy.
Dude, I've got nothing else on I don't want to carry on, to be honest with you.
No, I was going to say, we're probably down to about 3 listeners now.
Yeah.
And, that's probably just the guys from the Lost on Gallifrey podcast who, if you want to hear a rant, go and check out their reaction podcast to this episode. It's very similar to ours. So, we probably should stop. Because I haven't, apart from a million questions that have not been answered, I haven't really got anything else to talk about, to be honest. I certainly haven't got anything positive, and I don't want to keep ranting. So
same, dude. Yeah. Have I got anything else notable? No.
I haven't even written anything about Segan's music this week. I can't even remember it. I think it was good. I can't remember.
It was okay, actually. Yeah, his music's been sweet, actually, throughout this episode. More drifted away from the atmospheric and a bit more, a bit more score when we needed it in terms of action and suspense and stuff. Not too bad at all.
Yes.
All right then, dude. I think it's me to go first. I'm going to give this a 5 out of 10.
Oh, we're on the same page. So am I.
5, yeah.
5 out of 10. Yeah. It didn't. I was hoping that might go up on a rewatch, but it didn't. I'm afraid.
No, same. I'll save the Flux review overall for when we do our overall, hopefully, review next week with the guys. But this one, 5. Real sort of middle of the road. I can see what you're trying to do, Chibbers, but you haven't stuck the landing for me. It's just a bunch of stuff that was cut together very quickly with not much of a satisfying ending, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. So a 5 from each of us then. What did our awesome listeners think to this one then? So we've got our audio reviews, as always, to go through. So let's listen to Lewis Palmer, Joe Turner, Neil Campbell, Toby Coleman, Will Sanger, Martin Arnold, and Sean Picard.
This was awful. Truly a terrible conclusion. Flux overall suffers from all the problems that Chris Chibnall's script in Series 12 did. The whole thing is overcluttered with 600 different ideas and concepts. The Vanquishers is trying to tie them all up, and it quite simply can't possibly do a satisfying job. Kate Stewart, Joseph Williamson, the Grand Serpent, they're all wasted. Worst of all, the last episode completely switches focus from the Doctor's past, with the Vision and the Ravagers, which had been the key plot line to the story, to a story about the Sontarans and the Grand Serpent, which is a secondary plotline, trying to take over the Earth with the Flux. Chris Chibnall can't possibly succeed with the ideas of the Vision and the Timeless Child if he doesn't devote any time and attention to it, as he keeps throwing in different ideas. Flux started well, but just got worse as time went on. Overall, I'd give it a 4 out of 10.
What made Doctor Who work when it returned was that it focused on the drama. And it was simple stories that allowed the characters to breathe. It wasn't stuffed to the gills with nonsense and plot elements that are only there so that things can resolve. Diane is only captured by the prisoner so she can show how to escape from the prisoner, and the prisoner thing is only there so that it can be the tool by which the Flux is absorbed and defeated after half the universe is destroyed, at the cost of all the other people that are inside it. So they've all been killed. It's a cavalier attitude to the character of the Doctor that she's quite happy to just commit genocide like this, whereas in Genesis of the Daleks, the Doctor's very character shines through when he simply cannot carry out the actions that Time Lords want him to do. This is why this era has completely and utterly failed. And our reward for all of this is we're going to see more Daleks, because third time's the charm. I mean, I love the Daleks, but do I want to see them every year in every special? Oh dear, oh dear. I'm just done with this. Honestly, I don't think I can watch any more of this. And I feel I should, because I enjoy Doctor Who, and that is what makes me angry. And for that reason, this gets a 0 out of 10. I never want to watch the Flux again. Cheerio.
Doctor Who The Vanquishers. I don't know how to feel about this one. I feel a bit underwhelmed, if I'm being perfectly honest. Don't get me wrong, this series has been such a big step up, and if only we'd gotten something this good sooner, I think it really would have made Jodie's Doctor stand out. But as a series finale, I thought it was lacking. It had too many plot threads to carry out, and it felt like Kate Stewart wasn't even really there. She appeared 2 or 3 times and did basically nothing. Things I did like was how I loved Jodie's performance, especially with her being Time. And I will say Jericho's death was quite touching, as was poor Carvanista. I can't want to call him Sarvin. Carvanista, whose fate, basically, species went up in smoke. Belle and Vinda finally got reunited. Diane was rescued, but overall I just feel hollow out of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Daleks back at New Year. And overall, I'll give this series a solid 7.5 out of 10. See you next time. Bye.
How's it going, lads? So the finale to Doctor Who Flux. There were things I liked, there were things I disliked. I'll start with the dislikes. You know my feelings on the Timeless Child arc. I absolutely hate it with a passion. What's the point in ripping out 60 years of canon to then not even answer it properly? We need answers. You can't just leave something like that. It's just ridiculous, and they should never have touched this in the first place. I didn't like the way Kate Stewart was used. She was only in a handful of scenes. What's the point? I don't like the Vinder and Bell storyline. It's cheesy and absolutely cringeworthy, to be perfectly honest. And with regards to likes, I liked the navy blue coat that Jodie was wearing as Time, and I liked her performance as Time. I thought it was very subdued, subtle and empowering. More of that, please, instead of the sort of, jumping about trying to be like a female 10th Doctor. Sometimes that's too much, in my opinion. I didn't like the way Swarm and Azure was defeated, actually. I thought that was far too easy after they were built up to be such an unstoppable force, supposedly. I did like the visuals. They were very good. I liked Jericho. He got a poignant ending. I think we knew he was going to die, but always thought he was pretty cool. And I liked the way the Sontarans tried to one-up the Daleks and the Cybermen. Didn't work out in the end, but it was a good idea all the same. But I can't look past the Timeless Child arc, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10.
Overall, The Vanquishers was an immensely underwhelming finale. Firstly, it solves every plot thread in either a really simplistic way or a really rushed way. Flux contained way too many characters, and let's be honest, some of them could have been cut. The pacing was way too quick. You barely had any time to absorb any of the information or react to scenes. In saying that, there was a lot to enjoy and praise. Emotionally, I thought Chibnall did a good job. The death of Jericho was incredibly impactful. He was a fantastic supporting character. Also, when we find out that the Mopari have been massacred, Carvanista's face says it all. I love how we get it confirmed he was also a companion. The Diane Vinder team up was very good, however, I feel like they escaped Passenger way too easy, and Diane seemed to grasp pretty extraterrestrial ideas far beyond human comprehension with ease. I didn't like the multi-Jodie thing. I thought it was a lazy way to cram everything into one episode within the hour's time limit. The entire occupation of Earth was cool, and there were some great shots of them running across the world, and their portrayal with regards to the Daleks and Cybermen was really cool. The shot of Passenger absorbing the Flux was great, and seeing Vinder and Bell fighting the Sontarans was a real punch-to-the-air moment. Lastly, I thought Swarm and Azure were once again pretty pointless, and are a prime example of how Chibnall struggles to write monsters of his own creation. So overall, I've enjoyed Flux, however, it could have been executed far better, and if this finale was better, then I think this could have been one of the best series of Doctor Who ever. Thank you.
Oh god, we were doing so well. The end of Flux was Stop being nice, Lewis. I thought this was terrible on every level. Just an awful anticlimactic way to end Flux. After 6 weeks of great build-up, like, I really enjoyed this series and I've been on a high for most of it. This was a mess. This is a complete mess. It just ideas rammed together, reset buttons being hit left and right, cop-out endings, characters just being shoved to the side and never heard from again. They've set up Flux as this big dramatic thing that that hasn't happened. That has not happened at all throughout this. The status quo is back to normal, which is such a missed opportunity. I can't take anything seriously on it. And the editing was atrocious. If you're going to have three characters played by the same actor, the editing of your episode has to be tight and coherent, because that can get confusing real easily. Not like it was, where you had characters disappearing between shots, the geography of scenes completely just gone. I was so confused what was happening because the editing was just awful. I don't like being negative because I've really enjoyed most of the series and I really enjoyed Chibnall's era for the most part, but this was a mess. So, sorry. See you next time, guys.
What did I think overall? It's not the best episode in the series. I think it really let me down, only because I thought the ending was it was just overall not a good episode. Early on episodes were good because they were setting up something massive, and I thought that was really well done. But in this episode, we didn't really see much revealed. We thought the Doctor was going to find her past from the Fog Watch. So, in the ending, she decided she didn't want to know her past, even though the whole story of Flux was to set up her trying to find out the past. I thought the Swarm and Azure died really easily, and I thought they were going to be something massive. Overall, I thought it was quite disappointing. I liked how the Daleks and the Cybermen and the Sontarans came back. That was the only good things, I think. But yeah, overall it wasn't a really good episode, I don't think. I'll rate it 6 out of 10, just characters wise and monsters wise. But hopefully the New Year special is better, because I am relying on that. Thank you.
So, yeah, I think the mood's gone down a wee bit, dude, for some people. There's a couple of people that liked it, but again, I've loved listening to Martin Arnold through this one. He's not not a fan at all, no. But thank you guys for taking the time to do your audio reviews. That's much appreciated as always. Over on the socials then, over on Twitter, DSG says, love the latest ep, agree with Bell and Vinder theory. We'll add that the wormhole was on Gallifrey, I think. This can keep the whole Born on Gallifrey canon. Okay, yes. Cool. Sam says, entertaining to watch, but the more I dwell on it, the more issues I can find with it. I like some bits, but mostly just left confused. Moffat's timey-wimey plots felt simplistic compared to this finale. Memory, mystery really should have been wrapped up, though. 5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's lingering, isn't it?
Yeah, Josh Vanderslies says, a very confusing episode from what has been a wishy-washy series that had highs with the Angels to lows with the Sontarans. Only good parts were where Bill was when Bell was involved, as that had heart that was unfortunately lacking. 3 out of 10. Phil Edney says, a mashup of the worst of junior fan fiction. Oh God, Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans and Ood. So much destruction, but no one seems to care or be affected.
Exactly.
Nonsensical script, actors who seem to be phoning it in. Beyond disappointing. Oh dear. Our writer Jordan says, bits of this were really good and some of it was really bad. I was entertained throughout, but there was just something about it I didn't like. Everything got wrapped up too quickly and neatly, though it was good to see the Sontarans almost come out on top. But poor Jericho.
Yeah,
yes.
Poor Jericho.
Doctor Who Home says, I hate to be negative, but all I can say is what a bloody mess. What a bloody mess. I love last week's story, but nothing seemed to fit this week. Redundant characters, plot threads with no payoff, dodgy effects. I'm ambitious, I'll give that. Sorry, it was ambitious, I'll give it that. And I like the corner store Centauran, but a 4 out of 10.
Mm.
Neil Hammond says, bloody great fun. The big tease with the fob watch, brilliant. Will that ever be resolved? The Centauran and their chocolate fix was hilarious. This entire series has been a joyous journey. The format of 6 episodes worked great. Triumph. Billy, the Men of Who, says, simply atrocious on all levels. Writing, directing, acting, everything. I would list all of the things wrong, but there aren't enough characters on Twitter for me to do that. Total dross of a finale, quite possibly Chibnall's worst ever episode, 2 out of 10.
I'm just laughing because I love the word dross.
Yes.
Dross.
Proctor Who podcast.
Oh.
Only watched it once so far, but found it hugely underwhelming. Exposition overdrive. It's all sound. It's all sound and fury signifying nothing. No revelations, no twists, no point. Maybe I'll feel differently after a second watch, but so far not good.
No.
The 51st Doctor says utter garbage. Exposition overload, disappointing 3 out of 10. Marco Bricks, I do not care who wrote it, which actors were in it, and whether I agree with the ending. I just enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay.
75 time distort units out of 100. For that reference is for the Geek's Handbag.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Is that
Love
a
it.
Blake 7 thing?
Blake 7.
Yeah. Tom, Titan Sci-Fi. It's been fun and filled. It's been a fun-filled series from start to finish. 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, wow.
Would like to see more of Kate in it, though. Maybe in the specials. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Rotide. It was great. Left Who fans asking some questions while still providing a satisfactory ending to all the plot lines. Chibber's really pulled off some good writing this finale. I'm very pleased. I can't wait to see the saviour, quote unquote, again. And gives it a very specific 8.53 out of 10.
Wow, very specific. Okay.
Yes. Chippy T, a few plot holes, enemies too easily defeated, some characters criminally underused. I gave it a 6 on the first watch, and then watched it again with the subtitles to catch all the bits I missed, and then gave it an 8. Those folks who do instant reviews really ought to give it a chance. Series is a 7.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Thank you very much, GPT. And lastly, Jessica says, I thought it was a fantastic episode. Lots of action that neatly wrapped up the season. Had to pay attention every second or you missed something, though. A 9 out of 10.
That's true. Yeah, blink and you'll miss it.
A 9. Thank you very much, Jessica. Over on Facebook, just a few there. Aaron Ball. If Flux could have ended worse, I don't think there was a way. It adds more than answers. The episode is a complete mess. I lost it and not in a good way. And the Centaurians were wasted all over. And a letdown from the series that started off so well. A 1 out of 10, Aaron.
Oh, Aaron, not a fan.
Gordon Hudson just says, quick question. If half the universe has been destroyed by the Flux, what next? Question mark.
I know, yeah. Is it still
be
destroyed? I don't know.
Well, it won't be addressed, Gordon. Don't worry about it, mate.
Forget it.
Jeff Waddle says, a wonderful episode that tied up most things and a fitting finale to a wonderful season, one that can easily be binge-watched. 6 episodes in a row, I wouldn't score any of them under an 8.
You feeling all right, Jeff?
Jeff, lovely dude. Well, fair play, dude, if you liked it.
No, I'm joking. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jeff, genuinely.
Jeff has been very, very critical.
It's normally so critical.
Yeah, nice one, Jeff. Leslie Shergold, given the absolute state of season 11 and at least half of 12, saying that this was very possibly my favourite season leaves me rather bemused. The big black mark for me isn't the Swiss cheese plotting, but I love that saying, but that the death of Jericho had better be corrected at some point. An 8 out of 10.
I don't think so, sadly.
Yes. Our writer, Harry, says the most incomprehensible episode of Doctor Who ever. Richard Hardman, best season finale since Twice Upon Time. However, Swarm and Azure were dealt with far too easily. Time is intriguing, very Buffy the Vampire Slayer with the first. I give this episode 7 out of 10. Flux overall, 8 out of 10.
I've never seen Buffy, so I don't know, but okay.
Mark Hugill, just too much going on. Flitting all over the place. It wasn't reliant again on exposition. It was reliant again on exposition and on supporting characters sorting things out to justify them being there. 4 out of 10.
Wow.
Rhys Jenkins wasn't amazing, also a bit of a mess, but better than The Timeless Child for sure.
Okay, cheers, Rhys.
Peter Austin, a great episode that was spoilt by the relentless exposition. Nice, clean-ish slate now for the festive episode, then back to more Bell and Vinder for next year. It felt like the beginning of the end for 13.
I think we might see Bell and Vinder again. I get a feeling.
Maybe, yeah. And lastly, Charlie Turner says, madness. A good conclusion to the whole story that this series had. Now that Flux has finished, I can offer my ratings. And then Charlie gives us his reviews. It's quite a long review, so pop over to Facebook to read that. But No middle ground on this one, bud. Either people didn't like it very much at all, so the reviews are like 2s and 3s and the odd 4, or people love it. It's like 9s out of 10s, 8s and 9s. So
yeah,
I think we're in the minority, strangely, on this one.
I think this whole series has been like that, hasn't it? But it's just like a total mixed bag.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want some of what Jeff waddles on. If he could send some over, that would be great.
Yeah, Jeff's had his Weetabix in the morning when he's watched these ones, for sure. Yeah. Okie dokie, dude. So that wraps up our reviews of Flux Series 13. I think overall it started off well. We gave it 8.5s, 8s and 7.5s to begin with, and it slowly declined now down to 4s and 6s and ended on a 5. So probably the average score so far for us is probably around a 6, 6.5.
That's a shame, isn't it?
I would say, as an average. Not mathematically accurate, but very roughly. Yeah. Okie dokie. So next week, dude, I'm not going to ask you for a review because we were going to do a particular episode, but we're going to can that off in light of doing hopefully a bit of a round table with our writing team, so we can dig into some of the Flux bits and pieces a bit more, get their opinion on it, and that will finish off the year pretty nicely, I think.
Yes, sounds good.
Yeah. So I think on that note, dude, let's wrap there for 335.
Alrighty.
Well. 5s all round for episode or chapter 6 of Flux. Chibbers, you started off really well, dude. You did start off well, I'll give you that.
And you tried. I'll give him something else. Ambition. He did. I like the ambition.
Yes, yeah. It's really weird because when he wrote Broadchurch, that was like a cliffhanger every week. I couldn't wait for the next week. It was amazing. Like, he really nailed that overarching story across the episodes and really kept you in suspense and wanting more. And there we go.
Maybe it's just not suited to sci-fi. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, yeah, probably right. Yeah. So not a great ending. I'm sorry, dear listener, if you felt we've gone on a bit of a rant and been overly negative and stuff. But as always, if you've listened to our podcast for the years it's been going, you will know that we will never fluff our reviews. We will never say something's great and we'll praise it if we don't think it is. So honesty from the outset. That's what we've always done.
Which is why our tickets to the BBC premiere have been revoked.
As always. Yeah.
Not having you two there. All right.
Yeah. Every year it's the same. Well, we would have given you a ticket, but you've trashed it again. So
like the two guys in the Muppets.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think of it? Rubbish. Just
say
on the balcony. Get them out.
Yeah, that's not too far off the truth for Flux.
I know.
Anyways, to listen to more light-hearted episodes of our podcast, make sure you follow us on whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on. All of the apps are on there for free, as well as the website www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to for free on there. Link off to all the podcast apps. We're on the socials too, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Links on the website. Give us a like and a follow as we chat Doctor Who throughout the week. And the free Discord server, hop on there and chat more Doctor Who with the awesome Who fans over there. And also remember, as always, check out my co-host over on YouTube, but it's The Geek's Handbag. Lots of cool vids.
Yes, lots of videos on YouTube and all the socials.
Go and do it now. Make a cup of tea and go and do it. Yes. So we'll see you next week for episode 336 or the round table number, whatever. But until then, take care of yourselves. Stay safe and healthy. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember,